Morning freaks, it's hill climb day, Saturday morning. The time to beat is 11:40, I think. I've been so keen for this the entire week. I cannot wait to hurt. Oh, what a good ride. So the time to beat was 11:36 or something like that, and I got 11:24, an average of 305 watts. I'll fucking take that any day. Hell yes. Now I'm convinced that my way back to fitness is the bike, not the running, because the running takes a long time to build resilience. We're going to talk about that today, but the bike is the key to get fast as fuck. In an ideal world, we probably would have all started running at 9 months old, all the way until whatever age we are right now, and we'd be running like 160 Ks a week. No issues, no worries, no injuries, no nothing. We'd be absolutely flying. And we would probably be somewhere close to our absolute running potential by now. But here's the thing, we didn't, did we? No. We were too busy playing Xbox and Halo 3. Not only did these elite athlete runners start running when they were super early in life, they're also extremely talented, and they have this massive training history, meaning that they can push themselves into stressful situations way more than we can, and they can actually recover. Like some close to elite runners have just about the same amount of talent as the top of the top, but they just can't handle the stress of doing insane workouts all the time like these elite runners do, like 200K weeks and shit like that. It's insane. Now imagine how shit compared to these guys, us casual, normal people are. We don't have the training history, we don't have the talent, and we don't have that body resilience and the ability to actually recover from workouts like the elite athletes do. So we have to do something completely different because we're playing a different game completely. So whilst their game is to get world records and run insane top of the top times, our aim of the game is to just, well, stay in the game for as long as possible and as consistently as possible. And in my opinion, the only way to do that is to cross-train a lot. I'm pretty sure I've shared this story before, but when I was a student at university, I was a research assistant in this one study, right? And so what they did is they did VO2 max tests, running VO2 max tests on cyclists at the start of an 8-week training block. And then they did an 8-week protocol of training on the bike, no running at all. And then at the end, they did another running specific VO2 max lab test. And what they found is that their VO2 max had gone up upwards of 5 to 10%. I'm pretty sure it was 5 to 10%. I don't know. The end study was all in Spanish, so I couldn't make any sense of it. But it was around 5 to 10% improvement in VO2 max without actually doing any running at all. The main predictor for running speed in a race is mileage, but there's always exceptions to the rule. And generally speaking, the mileage is much lower than you actually think for the given race result. For example, the average mileage for a sub 3-hour marathon is like 80 Ks a week, which is not a lot of training at all. It's probably like, for a sub 3 runner, it's probably like 6 to 7 hours a week of actual training. Even at 6 to 7 hours per week of running, you wouldn't even achieve Australia's, recommended daily activity guidelines of 1 hour per day of moderate activity. That's not a lot of training, and people are doing insane things like sub 3-hour marathons. So You don't need to do a lot of mileage, and I actually think that you can supplement a lot of this base work with a lot of cross training. Like, I listened to this podcast, the Sweat Elite podcast, not that long ago, and they were interviewing a guy called Adam or Aaron or something like that. But he ran a 2:08 marathon, and he didn't run more than 2 days in a row. He was doing about 100 Ks a week, which for a 2:08 is absolutely fuck all. And he was spending a lot more time cross training. He figured out what actually works for him, and then he went straight ahead and continued doing that, even though everyone else at his level is running 160, 200 Ks a week, but he knows that he can't do that with his body and his genetics and whatever. And so he's figured out what works for him, and that is the key to this video. As much as running and physical activity is about getting better at those sports, it's also about learning and applying the information that you get from your training to find what's best for you. Because at the end of the day, no one knows your body and the way that your body works better than yourself, because you're living inside your body all the time. You know what kinds of things you adapt really well to and what kinds of things you do terribly at. Like myself, the fittest that I've ever been was not when I was running 90, 100 Ks a week. It was when I was running 78 Ks a week and I was riding 3 times a week and I was commuting to the shops on the bike. And that's because I just couldn't handle that kind of mileage. But if you can, then obviously running is going to be great if you can just do lots of running all throughout the week. But that's such a minority of people who can manage that long term without getting injured. So it's really, really interesting. Now, unfortunately, there's not a great deal of data on this in terms of taking runners who run a lot and then adding more volume in the form of, cycling or swimming or, elliptical or whatever, and taking out a bit of that running volume to, stop people getting injured, and seeing if they actually continue to improve because they're building out a base. I know that VO2 max and threshold stuff are relatively specific to the actual modality that you're well trained at, but that doesn't mean that you can't continue to build your aerobic base and things like that with cross-training. And think about this, if you're building up your heart itself and trying to get the heart to be as, powerful as possible, I don't think it really matters doing all of that volume required to build that heart in running or cycling or swimming or whatever. I don't think it really matters. And I think that in the future, there might be some studies that come out that say that you can kind of just do whatever, because massive training volume is just going to be the number one contributor to making massive running PBs. But that's my thoughts for today. I want you guys to let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this and what things that you have found your own physiology adapts to quite well, whether it's a different kind of training method or whether it's specific training workouts or whether it's like taking massive amounts of time off and doing something completely different, like a different sport, and then coming back to running when you need to. I want you guys to let me know, because I'm very interested to see how different every single person is, because that is what I believe, that every single person is so different. And if you try and force yourself to do one particular thing when your body just doesn't want to do it, it's just going to end in disaster. See you guys later. Let me know in the comments below. Also, hats are for sale. They are for sale, I promise. It's just Google doesn't like my website. Okay, peace.